Here is my emergency fire and water one. There is a little bit of a caveat. It should also say maybe a bit of food on there, but there's a reason why I don't have food on there, and you can see why in a moment. But it's just nice to carry these high-vis emergency pieces of equipment, because again, this is one that is in every backpack I have, whether I'm out ultralight hiking, don't kill me ultralight hikers, or whether I'm just out for a 12-hour period, which could fall into a 24-hour period, but I always carry this on me and contents remain unchanged. If you carry an emergency kit, you want to pack it right and pack it once, and then when you go out to the woods, you're not having stuff that's missing, you're not having to go home and replace stuff, you always know it's solid. The dry bag itself is made by Savoda. I love their new range of orange high-vis stuff for when I'm out and about. And first out the gate, we have this. Loosely translated, it's nut cream. Nut cream is a fantastic food for when you're out and about. It's vegan friendly, like all good nut cream should be. But this is basically Nutella on steroids. It's a nice bit of high calorie sugars and carbs for when you're out and about and you need it. And also you don't need tools or whatever to eat it. I can understand an awful lot of people out there, they use those high caffeine gels, those high protein gels. And I find that if I want to have a panic attack when I'm hiking, they're probably one of the best things to have. But a bit of nut cream for when you're out and about always works a bit of a treat, and it's got a long sell-by date. It doesn't need to be kept in a fridge. It doesn't need to be kept chill. Next is my emergency water gathering kit. I have it in this separate pouch, this high-vis orange pouch. Again, from Savoda, but this is basically a mix of signaling and stuff that I can gather water in should everything else kind of fall asunder. I have the Hydro Flask 500 ml. Again, I've made videos on these before. They're super tough. They roll up really small and fit into the lid. They got graduated marks on the front of it. But what I like most about this and why I carry it, besides being able to gather water, I can fill this up with boiling water or close to boiling water and keep it in my pockets to keep myself warm or put it in my sleeping bag. Next, this is from my Yervin bag, and this is a signal panel. This is a signal panel that you can stretch between two trees. It's pretty large, and as you can see, I like to carry stuff for signaling. Most of the time, if you've taken the proper precautions, rescue can be pretty quick, especially over a 24-hour, 48 period. So having some signal, like my orange bags, you can see here, this is orange, and again, we got orange. I'm not saying you got to replace your whole kit with it, but having a few bits to do is fine. You normally sling this between two trees, and away you go. Next out, I have a fantastic piece of equipment that I absolutely adore. This is the Savoda water bucket. You've seen it on my social media all over the place, but this carries some huge liters of water that you can store around camp. It's got a nice big opening on it, so you can use it as a bit of a small sink, but it's just a great way. You may or may not be able to hear that there's a fast flowing river in the background next to us. If Edith's done her job, you shouldn't be able to, but you can walk down to the river one trip and bring back a serious amount of liters of water, and it sits perfectly flat on the ground where you can access it. The less trips and the less calories you got to burn in a water gathering situation, the better. Here is a well used and well loved Millbank bag. This one's made by Forest Fundamentals. In other videos, I've always pointed out that the more instructions can be on things in the woods, I find the better. So there's nice, clear instructions on here. Again, the less you got to think about when stuff's going wrong, the better. Not that you will forget to use a Millbank bag, but maybe it's not you that's using the Millbank bag. Maybe it's someone else in your party that's never picked one up before. So having instructions on the outside of it is fantastic. And this is just a way of taking turbidity out of the water. The next one is a bigger 2-litre Hydro Flask, again serving the same purposes as my small Hydro Flask. This one can be attached to your belt, and that's what I like about it. It acts as kind of like a fanny pack. You got your graduated cylinders made out of that same puncture proof material. It's got a wide mouth opening on the front. And then what I like to do again is either use this for gathering dirty water, or if I boil some water, at least I can heat this up and you got yourself a pretty big, pretty substantial and a pretty safe hot water bottle bag for your sleeping bag, or if you happen to be on the ground without a sleeping bag. Next out is a trash bag. A trash bag is for gathering fire material. Also as well, this is my emergency one, so maybe I can need it for a bivy bag, maybe I can use it for some rain protection, or I can use it for gathering material for bringing back from my fireplace, or a browse bed to keep me up off that ground. A trash bag you can never be in the woods without, in my opinion, and carrying a good staunch one is always good in your emergency kits. They take up no space. And last but not least, this is my fire kit. I got inspired to make this fire kit after being on a course with Torbjorn Sellen from All in Nature Sweden. Shout out to Torbjorn. But he gives all his students a little Trangia kit like this. This is a Trangia mess tin, but it's the one without the lid on the, or the handle on the side of it. Should you choose to use the handle, that's fine. But what I loved about it was it added an extra means for me for boiling water in my emergency kit, should I want to, and it acts as a bowl or a plate. So you got a lid. Again, you can use it as a plate or for a way of preparing your tinder materials. You might see here, there's some burn marks on the outside of it because I have used it before for gathering tinder and preparing tinder. I have my Victorinox 2021 edition in orange just in here as a spare kind of backup for my belt, or my belt knife should it get lost. But this one I like because it has scissors on it, and scissors is a great one to have in the woods, and the tools are very interesting. It's got this all here. So I find that this tool setup on the Victorinox is just a little bit easier than most and more suited to me, and that lives in there, razor sharp, and I never touch it. I got a small bag. You may have seen in the hip pouch video, I'm a big fan of these breast milk bags because they have 1,000,001 uses, but just in case you haven't watched it, again, your graduated marks. It's got a nozzle here you can cut off to the side for wound irrigation. They are very, very strong, and they're food safe. They're just a great option, and you can carry 4 or 5 of these as spare backups should you want to. One in your first aid kit, one in your fire kit like I do. I carry some Vilma's Nordic Summer. This is a great one. It's more a nostalgia thing for me, but you can treat leather with it, but it keeps mosquitoes away, and it's a little bit better to constantly keep putting on you than bad chemicals like DDT and DEET when you're out and about. Oh my God, DDT. Should no one's put DDT on them since the Victorian age. If you're putting DDT on you, don't. But DEET is what I meant, rather than putting DEET on you and some of the kind of more stronger chemicals for keeping the flies away. But a little side quest or a side story. The reason why I like to carry this is more for nostalgia. If I'm in here, I'm obviously not in the best of conditions. And every time I visited Sweden, I've had this. 13 years I've been using this. And I just absolutely adore the smell of it. And it just brings me back to those better times. I carry a flattened roll of duct tape. Again, for fire starter, for repairs, for shelter. There's 1,000,001 reasons. The reason why I carry this particular duct tape in here is because I can rip the core out and light this, and this will burn like you're after setting a tire on fire. And if you have an emergency fire kit, having something like this in there is fine. Yes, we shouldn't be burning material like this in the woods, but at the same time, it's a bad situation. I think Mother Nature can understand if you're just trying to stay warm and live one more day. It's also great for first aid as well. Plenty of videos out there about Gorilla Tape. I carry some high-vis cord in there, again, just to have extra string. This is more for bow drills, or should I need to lash up something else really quickly. There's not a lot of it, but there's enough there. Better to be looking at it than to be looking for it. I carry a small tub of Vaseline, again, more for first aid stuff and to help with chafing, or should my feet be moving around in my boots, or I have a bit of a wound or a bit of a burn, or I can put this in with some material like a bandana and light it on fire. It's a fantastic one to have and takes up no space. I carry a small bit of balm. Again, this is again for burns, chapped elbows, chapped lips. It's kind of an all-purpose balm. You can even use it to treat your leather gloves should you have to around the fire. A small little bit of birch bark. Again, better to be looking at it than looking for it. So it's in there, just nice and easy to light with all the accoutrements that I have. And then you can see that the tin itself is empty. And if I needed to, I could just gather some dirty water up in this, prepare with my millbank bag, build a fire with the stuff that I have, stick it on, boil my water, eat my nut cream, and it's good days, good times in a survival situation. So there you go. That is what is in my emergency fire and water and food, bonus food moment kit. It's very small, it's light enough weight, and it's enough to get me out of almost any bad situation that I find myself in over a 12 to 24 hour period. So if you like what's in the kit, let me know in the comments below. If there's anything that you would add to your kit for your environment, please let me also know. And if you want to support myself, Anita, and this channel, and the friends that help us make it, as always, the links are below. See you in the next one.